Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So I thought I'd do a video on the most asked questions I get when working with resin. So if you want to find out more, stay tuned. Okay, so one of the most asked questions I get asked is what resin I use and why. And I like to use Craft Resin. I absolutely love it. I've used it for almost 4 years now, I think. And it is by far my favourite brand. It's my favourite for several reasons. It's non-toxic, it doesn't contain any fumes, and I just find it's a lot easier to work with. So it's measured in volume, which means that it's the same amount part A to the same amount part B, and I love this because I can't be doing with 5 parts A, 7 parts B. It's too confusing for me, so it's nice and simple. Absolutely love it. I also have found with Craft Resin, I tend to get crystal clear results so much easier than with other resins. So I've got a piece to show you. Look how crystal clear this piece is. I actually can't cope, and this is by using Craft Resin, and you can achieve this too. But yeah, that's why I like using Craft Resin so much. And if you want to try it out, or you want to grab yourself a discount, there is some discount codes in the links below. It's just Stand Together UK and you can get yourself a discount. So the next question is, how do you get bubbles out of resin? Now I get asked this all the time. If you join our lives on TikTok, you'll see that that's my most asked question, I would say, other than what brand of resin I use. And I have a few tips for this. So first of all, it's all in the mix. So I see so many people often mixing really fast and then wondering why they get loads of micro air bubbles. And actually, I would say it's better to mix slowly for longer than mix really fast just to get on with it, because then it's just going to be more difficult. And then what I suggest doing is, once you've mixed up your resin, is let it sit for a few minutes. So keep an eye on it so it doesn't flash cure. I usually mix up like a pint of resin at a time, and then I'll let it sit for 5 minutes before doing anything to it. And what this does is it continually heats up in the cup because you've mixed your part A and your part B together, and a lot of the bubbles will rise to the top, and then I spritz it with alcohol spray. And there you go. I find it really useful. It's probably my biggest tip, is to let your resin sit for a few minutes once you've mixed it up. Just keep an eye on it, and while you've left it aside, you can always prep your molds or pick your colours and all those kind of things. So yeah, make sure you keep an eye on it though. I also do recommend using alcohol spray. This is my #1 go-to. If I've poured my resin into my mould and then like a bubble comes up, I will spritz it with some alcohol. So if you just type in on Amazon alcohol spray 99%, usually that's a good one. Sometimes I use a heat gun. I don't use a heat gun all the time because it blends your colours a lot. So if you want that effect, great. If you're doing things like a marble effect or things like that, then you don't want to use a heat gun because it's going to blend all your colours together and you're going to lose that beautiful marble effect. But yes, you can use a heat gun. I know some artists like to use a blowtorch. Personally, I don't, because I use a lot of alcohol in my products. So I use alcohol inks and things like that, and obviously you don't want to use a blowtorch. Please be safe. So the next question is, what pens do you use to edge projects? I get asked this all the time, and actually I've tried so many, so if I can help you guys out, I will. So this is the first brand I use. It's just the Deco Color Premium Prime oil-based marker. I flipping love this brand. It works really well. Beautiful metallic finish. This is the finish it gives, actually. It's right next to me. That gorgeous shine. I just love it so much, and they do loads of colours. Also, I know last time I recommended these, somebody said they weren't available on Amazon just yet. They'd sold out. I also don't have any to hand, but they are called the Edding pens. Just EDDING. They're really good as well, and with both of those you only need 1 coat, which is amazing. So yeah, the next question is, how do you store your molds? So I tend to use, you know, like the big plastic drawers that like pull out. I tend to put my molds in there because I don't like to leave my molds just lying around, because you'll get dust in there from like sanding down your resin pieces. I've got a cat and a dog, so I have to be careful of cat hairs and pet hairs. So yeah, just anywhere that can kind of like cover your molds without squashing them is fab. The next question is, where can I learn more about resin? So this is another reason I love Craft Resin so much, because there is so much information out there. Craft Resin is all about teaching artists and helping them grow, as opposed to it just being a product that you buy, it reaches your door, and then see you later. I personally love Craft Resin because of the community we've built, and yeah, it's amazing. So we have a Facebook community group. It's just Craft Resin Facebook community group. If you're not sure where to find it, then we can leave you a link. That's absolutely fine. Also on Instagram, you can send us a message anytime, and we're always happy to help. We have a YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to that so you don't miss out on tutorials and videos. And on the website we also have courses which are completely free, and these are made by artists that work with resin every single day and have tried and tested all these techniques, so you can learn how to do specific resin projects from beginning to end, know everything that you need to know, and I just think it's amazing. So definitely check those out. They're on the Craft Resin website. The next question is, what are the best alcohol inks to use? Now, I have tried so many different alcohol inks, and I would highly recommend don't buy the cheap alcohol inks that you can find, because they just fade over time. And if you're putting a lot of money and time into resin and so much effort, and then over time it just fades, it's really disappointing as an artist. So I use two brands that I absolutely love and swear by. Not sponsored at all, I just genuinely love them. Pinata is one brand, amazing. Their white alcohol ink will sync your colours beautifully, and the colours are vibrant and they don't fade. I've got pieces that are 4 years old that are not faded at all. And I also use the brand Fluids, so you can find them on Amazon too, and they're a bit more pricey, but they again don't fade over time. The next question is, how long does Craft Resin take to set? So Craft Resin takes 24 hours to set, which is amazing. I love that feeling in the morning when I can run down the stairs and go and demold my projects. It's the best feeling in the world. So I love doing that. If your pieces are thinner, so like bookmarks, notebooks, things like that, they might take longer to set just because they're thinner, and with the chemical reaction and the way that it works, it just takes slightly longer. So just give it a few days and double check for that. But if you are finding your pieces are bendy, then you need to be mixing your resin for longer, so try that next time. But yeah, I see a lot of people come to me saying my bookmarks aren't set, and it's just because they're thinner, so they take a little bit longer. But yes, everything else 24 hours, and then yeah, amazing. The next question is, what safety gear do I need? So this is super important to keep yourself safe. Resin is still a chemical, and we do recommend that you do keep yourself safe. So make sure you're wearing an apron, keep your hair tied back because you don't want to get resin in your hair. I've done it before. Wear gloves. I use nitrile ones because I have very sensitive hands. Sometimes I even use a barrier cream, I find that helps as well. And wear a respirator mask. If you can, work in a ventilated area, that's fab. And if you're working for long periods of time, make sure that you're taking breaks as well. Yeah. The next question is, do I have to heat up my resin beforehand? You don't have to. I work with resin pretty much every single day, and I don't tend to need to heat my resin up. I think I've only ever done it twice. The reason I work in the evenings, I'm a night owl. I tend to work in the evenings anyway, but because we have the heating on in the evening, I just make use of that. So the resin's nice and warm, which is amazing. I'm very grateful for that. But if you do need to heat up your resin, if you're finding it's cold or too thick and it's taken a long time, I would recommend that you put your bottles in, lid sealed properly, put your bottles in warm water, not hot water. Put your bottles in warm water for a maximum, I'd say 10 minutes, no longer than that. Keep checking it, and then take them out of the warm water, give them a wipe down, make sure there's no water on them at all. Water and resin do not go well together. And then yeah, pour away as you would usually. Just bear in mind that if you do heat up your resin bottles beforehand, it can shorten your working time. With Craft Resin, you get around 45 minutes to work with it. So if you heat up your bottles beforehand, that might be reduced. So just bear that in mind. And that's it, everyone. If you have any more questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to do a part 2. If not, make sure you're following us. We have TikTok now. We go live 4 times a week on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's amazing. We've built such a lovely community over there. It's just craft.resin on TikTok. Let us know if you have any other questions. Other than that, I will see you in the next video.